had we hold on to Hurricane, then we could have done better. But we could have held on to Hurricane and he walked for free, and therefore you have to treat an asset as an asset when the business part of football clashes with your sentiment. The business needs to go first. Bring back Hurricane, name a stand after him, maybe the South Stand or whatever it is, and all will be forgiven. He was never going to win with Spurs, and we have to accept that. However, my take on a lot of things is we sort of whitewash the things that we don't like. We get managers in, and those are the first thing that I look at. What is the manager saying? What's out there that the manager is looking to get? We don't know. There's a lot of speculation in terms of who are tied to the club, who are linked to the club. You get them every day. You get two, three players who are linked to the club. At the end of the day, or the end of everything, the club will come out and say, we were never even close to wanting to sign that player. The fans are going to come around and say, oh, that's Daniel Levy for you, all these good players, so on and so forth. Some of these players don't even want to come to Spurs. So you have to have a mutual agreement where even when we were in the top four, teams were still or players were still bypassing Spurs to go to other clubs. Chances are they would have gone to one of the top four not winning anything. They would have probably gone to Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea. Even if they're not going to win anything, they would have gone there and sat on the bench. And so Spurs, being who they are, suffers from that. A lot of people say, well, here's the deal. If the player, when it comes to the financial part of it, and I don't really believe in that if the player means that much to you, then you should go and meet the quote for whatever it is that the club is asking for. And that's how you're going to get what you want. Well, we tried it three times. We moved away from that. Or Daniel Levy moved away from that. He went for Tanguy at Dumbelly. He went for Davinson Sanchez. He went for Solanke, and he also went for Richarlison. Those are four. I said three. Those are four examples that we went out there and spent the money because that's what they were asking for, and those are the players that seem like they fit what we want at the time, and none of them pan out. So far, Solanke seemed to be the best in return for now, but we still have time. Somebody who have never been injured is often injured now that he came. So what's going on with Spurs? And so when you talk about stuff like that and you said, is the manager being backed? Yes, if you give the manager what he wants and what he's asking for, that's a form of backing the manager. And if you listen to Ange, if you listen to what he's saying yes. When I approach Daniel Levy, I approach a team, the backroom staff that is, and I said these are the players I want. Let me see what you have. Okay, I want this one, and this one. They go out and make it happen. So it's not like a player is gonna show up at practice and say, hey, guess what? Levy tell me to come down here and come hang out with you guys. It doesn't work like that. And some people are so casual in their whole thing, like, oh, leave it just and leave it don't. In retrospect, you look at everything that is being done, or you look at the overarching thing and everything that Levy has to get done. Well, he's responsible. Ultimately, he's responsible. And so you want to lay that blame. And I agree with a lot of fans who feel the way they feel, that he's a haggler, and where deals could be done, especially things that are almost concrete, he will take forever to stir it and bring it home, right? So at fault is like negotiating half the times for the sake of negotiating, not getting much out of it while time is wasting. Like, for example, it's easier to be wrong now because you need to fix something rather than trying to get it right in February. You can correct that in the summer. So if you need a player, right, and you need help, go out there and get a player. Go get a Douglas Luiz, right? He's not a long term because of his age, but at least he can help you because he has the immediate Premier League experience. But I can say that as much as I want. I don't know if Andrew would want a Douglas Luiz. Even then, I could look at it and say, look at a Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish can bring a lot of things to you. I don't know if the way Jack Grealish plays, right? He would have made the players around him and the team better and be more functional as a number 10 in on any team than what Pep is doing to him, playing him as a winger, and he will be more effective playing through the middle. But I don't know if Ange wants somebody like that. I don't know if Ange wants to put a break on the way he plays. So I don't think he would go for a player like that because everyone has to be fast, everyone has to be quick, everyone has to be doing that neck breaking speed as far as our Ange plays. And so when we start talking about players that will match up what Ange's idea is of how he wants to set his team up, we have to also look at that. And we're not willing to do that because we don't stop to talk about that and look at the players and look at the quality that they have and look at the things that they bring to the team that is already there. We said, oh, Daniel Levy. And so that's easy. And so when it comes to making an assessment, we look at, the tabloids, we look at, social media, and we look at everyone is bringing the same thing. And even though I'm not talking about transfer, I'm talking about how we operate in general. I'm not talking about transfer. I'm not talking about the transfer window. I'm talking about bringing players in and players going out. We always do a bad job of getting players out. We bring a lot of bad players in and we set on them because we want to make them good. No, they're not going to get good if they were bad before they come in. Very rare it happened. The only one that came in bad and went out good was actually Sissoko. And that took a long time with patience and some real quality around him. And even then, all these players leave and we got nothing for most of these players. And so we really, in all the tenure, and I'm just talking about outgoing, all the tenure of Daniel Levy, we don't make a lot of money in selling players. We can count on one hand all the players that went out over $25 million that Spurs sold. So we don't do too well there, right? We don't do too well. I think it's five, including the sale of Pierre. We have about 5 to 6 players that fetch over $25 million. I can just put a guesstimate on it and say we're not up to 10. Believe it or not, we're not up to 10 with what we with selling. But we certainly have a lot of failures bringing in players at a higher price, and all of that as it is. We can dump that on Daniel Levy, and fair enough, he has to shoulder a lot of that burden. But at the same time, you have to look at it and say, if you bring these players in at that price, the same price, any other club that shop at the same tier that we shop, they would have paid for it, right? What did the manager do with those players? Because it's evident that the manager accepted these players, but what did the manager do with these players? Did they fit in? Did they not fit in? How did they fail? Why did they fail? Are we taking a stop to look at how the manager functioned? Look at how he set up his team. Look at the tactics in the team. Look at what is happening all around in terms of his daily play. We don't talk enough football to be able to understand how these players succeed and how they fail, because we spend a lot of time talking about the personality. We spend a lot of time talking about Daniel Levy and Lang, and we don't talk about what's happening on a day-to-day basis, from the practice to the football that we see on Saturday, Sunday, and midweek now that we're in Europe, right? That is where the players become make or break. It doesn't matter who you're bringing. You can't bring in good players into a bad system. You can't bring in good players that are void of tactical direction, because you're not going to get the best out of them. You can't continue to play players out of position, especially young players, and expect that they're going to be at their full tilt and you're going to get the best of them. What they're doing is getting experience, become more versatile. But like I said in one video, does it help the team to elevate beyond what it is once you start bringing these youngsters in? We can just look at it. Look at Bergvall, look at Gray, right? Look at Archimore to a lesser extent. Dynamic young players. I never call them any generational talent. Was that a word? That's what was being used. But don't tell anyone I said so. I think people were dropping those words in the summer, that we have generational talent, and so but don't tell anyone I said so. And so what we start having is that we having these youngsters now have to fill a role because we didn't bring in any senior players. And like I said to one poster on Facebook, he said, but we're playing with 18-year-olds and the rest of the people are injured. And I'm trying to say, wait a minute. Let's congregate around this particular notion that we're playing with 18-year-olds. And why are we playing with 18-year-olds? If you want to, because the argument was that it's the injuries and it's Daniel Levy and somebody is missing from there. Oh, the manager is missing from there. The manager, right, is responsible for the vision that he wants, the players that he wants to execute it, the tactics to make sure that his vision is executed on a daily basis. The practice pitch is a sanctuary to make sure that whatever he wants down to the detail gets done. You saw against Everton, that was shambles, trying to change a formation. And there was something in that game that I slightly mentioned it when I first started that I wanted to touch, but I get over here. So I'm going to finish over here and go back to that, go back to this point. And so what we're doing as a fan base is that we want to hold Daniel Levy so accountable for everything and anything that we forget that we actually have a manager who asks for these players. When you ask him about Solanke, he said, yes, I wanted him. I think he do everything that we wanted, and we see that in him. Brennan Johnson fit the profile for what I want. So we can go down the line. We can go down the line. Van der Ven, because he's outstanding. Nobody is talking about Van der Ven, and Daniel Levy brought him in. Daniel Levy didn't bring in Van der Ven. And Daniel Levy didn't bring in Vicaria, even though Vicaria is kind of shaky right now. Daniel Levy didn't bring him in and give him to Ange. That's how we play. That's how we do it, right? The players that are excelling, right? They go out there and they sign a young Archie Gray, and all of a sudden, oh, we just signed an 18-year-old. We just signed an 18-year-old, right? We should have signed a senior player. No one is saying that, oh, Daniel Levy signed Archie Gray, because no one wants to give him credit because Archie Gray is performing. So they give this little back end thing like, okay, Archie Gray is okay. He's kind of, it's kind of okay. So, let's not go over there and dump this one on Daniel Levy right now. But as soon as he start performing, right? Bergvall is a wonderful talent, right? And he's gonna grow. He just need to, to be trusted, have more insulation, have more people around him. That's good. That's why I wouldn't mind to see somebody like Douglas Luiz coming in and play in that number 6 role with him. Because he will have a lot more to learn. And that's the most I will talk about transfer. That's my wish. I hope for a number 6 we could bring in Douglas Luiz to help out on there. Something is happening that I'm not sure. Let me see. I think I'm still taping. I need to change my settings because I just lost my connection, but I'm going to continue to talk through it. Everything is going to crap at the same time. Let me get back into my my thing just slept on me. Let me see if I can get back into it. I will continue to talk until I get back my feed so I can continue to talk. That's what I'll do, right? Yes, there I am. I'm right there. Yes. So, yeah, let me back that up a minute. Let me back that up. So, we have a tendency, like I was saying, that we apply this T account kind of way of doing things. All the players that are coming in, we blame Levy for anyhow they come in. And so as the players assimilate and we see what the manager is doing, And once they start performing, then we judge how they perform based on who brought them in. And one thing was clear, one thing is clear as day is that Ange Postecoglou is neck deep into every player that comes through the door. And so if they're not performing, it's also on his watch, even though Daniel Levy is definitely the responsible guy for what's happening. And so we as fans, we tend to want to do that a whole lot, and we want to cast the blame somewhere because some things that happen while we're not looking at what's happening. And the most important thing to look at is to look at what's happening on the pitch. And therefore, it doesn't matter who Daniel Levy brings in, how much you pay for the player, right? If he's not performing on the pitch, then we have to examine the manager. A lot of us do not want to examine the manager because we probably like him and we think that it's not okay, or we fire too many managers. No, if you're incompetent, you need to go. I don't see the need of holding on to a manager and waiting for tomorrow to see what happens.